All right, guys, I got another little lock from Wes and the Dudes. They wanted me to take a look at this guy. This must be a common lock they run into. It's a little SEPA. It comes in a package I really can't read. It's 40 millimeter, and it's got a weird looking key and says SEPA on it. That's all I can tell from the package. The lock itself looks like model 5000, and there's the SEPA logo right on the front. Seems to be pretty well made, pretty heavy brass body, very nice. It is a hardened steel shackle. I did check that, so quality-wise, not bad at all. These sometimes can be just a little bit intimidating, and here's why. It looks almost exactly like a Kaba 8 key. It's even got the pins on the side of it, on both sides, so that tells you can put the key in either way. This also tells us that we either have 2 rows of pins on the top, or maybe 2 rows on the bottom, or opposing pins. And the only way to know that is to actually look inside of the keyway. And you can see this one has opposing pins, which might be a little bit intimidating, but this is kind of to our advantage, because when you have opposing pins, that tells us that they can't both be the maximum cut, which would be like a gatekeeper. It wouldn't allow us to get our pick or our key in there. So if we have one shallow cut pin, the other one's got to be cut a little deeper to allow the width of the key to fit in between those 2 pins. It works beautifully. There is a pretty good spring tension on this. I've seen locks like this before. They're all almost identical. They just have a different logo on there. Rotates about, well, not quite 90 degrees to get an open. When you look in there, we have angled cuts on the hardened shackle, so we should be able to shim one or both sides if there's enough room. And it looks like there might be. We'll give it a shot. Picking, how do you do it? Well, pretty easy actually. Let me zoom in a little bit here. There's only 8 pins, 4 top, 4 on the bottom. So we're going to take a tensioner. This is how I typically do it. And just put a little bit of tension on there, because we are going to try to, you could SPP it. Now, you know, these guys are not all about SPPing and taking time. They want to do it quick. SPPing, these usually have no security pins, unlike a Kaba. So you could just basically put moderate tension and go in and force and bully those pins into place. These guys want to know the fast way. And so here's what I'm going to do. This is a pick that I have made. It was a broken 15,000 hook, and all I did is I just took a screwdriver and put a little dent in it. I'll hold it up here to give you an idea of the scale. It's nothing scientific about the measurement. It's just a bump to allow me to rake these pins. I'm going to put the bump down, slide it all the way in, light tension like you would any lock you're trying to rake, and then just kind of rake those bottom ones. When you think you got that, flip the hump over and rake the top. And you just alternate back and forth, keeping pretty light tension on the core, and eventually you should find your way into these locks, he says with great authority. And there we go. Pretty easy. Like I said, there are no security pins in locks generally at this price point. All right, let's take a look at another exploit. I like raking locks because in general it doesn't leave any forensic evidence on the outside. If you don't care about that, let's lock it back up and let's try, see if that's the right size. Yeah, make sure it's the same curvature, and we're just going to slide it in the side here. Now this does leave scrapes on both the shackle and on the soft brass body of the lock, Wes. So if you guys are doing this, just be aware that people are probably going to know that you've been into the lock. Rotate it, see if I can get that to work. And it does. All right. So that's another way to get in, but you are going to leave pretty telltale marks. There's reasons to have scratches down here, because people typically, you know, they kind of jam with the key. They're going to leave their own marks. Unless there's a chain or something to leave marks on the body. You need to be really careful about that. Anyway, Wes, there you go. Appreciate you sending this all the way from Japan. Appreciate your time, fellas. Stay safe. Stay legal. Appreciate it, Wes.